Okay, so the loaves have now been proved for, well, theoretically 2 hours. So at this stage we'll talk about ovens. I'm going to bake these in what they call a hearth oven. So in other words, the bread will be sitting on a hot stone and it's heated from below, and there's also a heating element above, and that's what the kind of thing that would have in any professional bakery. And the fact that you're setting the dough onto a hot stone, it really pumps a lot of heat very quickly into the bread, and that's what makes it rise quickly. But you don't have to have that. I didn't always have it. I have made bread very successfully in the fan oven. You can just make it on a baking sheet. You know, tip your bread out onto a baking sheet and put it into the oven. Better still, if you have a piece of like ceramic tile lying around from a bathroom renovation job, maybe about the house, that can go into the oven, and basically you put it on the shelf in the oven and get it up to temperature before you put the bread on it. But we'll go through our process here at the moment. So here's the dough. It's been proved in the Bannetons. I'm going to use this to get it into the oven. Technically this is called a peel, otherwise known here as a bit of plywood. To help get the bread slid off the peel, I'm going to dust it with a wee bit of coarse grained semolina. And that just acts as a lubricant so that the loaf doesn't stick. So we're going to tip it out, and we'll just gently give it a wee bit of a wee bit of vibration. There we are. So that's now out. Now, this is a crucial step. To get the bread to rise properly, you have to score the top of it. So basically we're making a cut from end to end. And basically that means that when the heat is applied to the loaf, the skin of the loaf isn't constraining it, and it means that it can expand and rise. So this is a thing called a lame, or a DIY version. It's a razor blade on the end of a lollipop stick, but you can just use a knife. So I'm basically going to make a cut from end to end about 1/4 inch deep. And it doesn't have to be very precise. If you're any good, unlike me, you'll be able to do that in one fell swoop, but sometimes it's not as easy as that. So once again, we're going to lubricate the peel with a little semolina. Tip the bread out, and I forgot to say earlier that I'm just lubricating my blade with a wee bit of just vegetable oil. It just makes it flow nicer in the cut. And now we're ready for the oven. So temperature wise, the oven I have set here to actually about 230 degrees. If you're using a conventional fan oven, I would suggest that you actually get the oven up to temperature, full temperature, as high as it'll go, which is probably 250, something like that, because really you need as much heat as you can get to get a surge of energy into the loaf as quickly as possible. And then when the loaf goes in, back it down to about 200, 220, that sort of thing. Another critical element in this process is steam. We rely on steam basically to keep the crust from forming. before the loaf has a chance to rise. So what I've done, while the oven was warming up, I just fired in an empty loaf tin. So the loaf tin obviously became hot, and maybe 5 or 10 minutes before I was ready to put the loaves in, I tipped in half an inch of boiling water into the bottom of the loaf tin and put it back in here and let that stay there. So basically what we've done is we've filled the oven with steam in those few minutes. Now, of course, when we open the door, some of the steam spills out, but still the walls and the whole structure of the oven becomes damp, and that's what we want. So the bread's now in, that tin with the water in it is still in there, and we leave it in there for probably the first 20 minutes or so of the bake. And once the loaf has risen to its full extent, we'll then take the steam out, and then when we remove the steam, then that lets the crust properly form and crisp up. So we'll look at that in a few minutes when the loaves have had a chance to rise. Okay, so the loaves have been in the oven now for about 20 minutes, and it's at the stage where they should be risen, and we want to get the steam out. So we'll take out my loaf tin, which has the water in it, and we'll actually see that the loaves are coming on okay, and we're actually going to prop the door open a wee bit to let the steam out. In a professional oven they have a vent system to let that happen, but obviously we don't have that, and you won't have that at home either. It's a case of leaving the door open a crack. The sharp-eyed among you will notice that my oven gloves are actually a pair of welding gauntlets out of water supplies, but they're not compulsory. So there's our tin, which is actually now dry, and you can see that the loaves have taken shape. And they're actually looking pretty nice. We'll just move them around a wee bit so they don't get their bums scalded. And we'll prop the door open. I normally just wedge a glove in the door slightly. So it's cracked open, let any steam out, and that means that the air in there will dry and will really let the crust form and become crisp and tasty, which is what we want. Okay, so the loaves have been in the oven now for about 20 minutes, and it's at the stage where they should be risen, and we want to get the steam out. So we'll take out my loaf tin, which has the water in it, and we'll actually see that the loaves are coming on okay, and we're actually going to prop the door open a wee bit to let the steam out. In a professional oven they have a vent system to let that happen, but obviously we don't have that, and you won't have that at home either. It's a case of leaving the door open a crack. The sharp-eyed among you will notice that my oven gloves are actually a pair of welding gauntlets out of water supplies, but they're not compulsory. So there's our tin, which is actually now dry, and you can see that the loaves have taken shape. And they're actually looking pretty nice. We'll just move them around a wee bit so they don't get their bums scalded. And we'll prop the door open. I normally just wedge a glove in the door slightly. So it's cracked open, let any steam out, and that means that the air in there will dry and will really let the crust form and become crisp and tasty, which is what we want. Okay, so the bread has been in the oven now for around 40 minutes. So let's take a look and see if we're ready to come out. So the first loaf to go in seems to be ready. It's crisp and brown, as you can see, certainly cooked on the bottom, perhaps slightly burnt, but can't be perfect every time. So we'll take that out and we'll let the other one stay in for a few minutes longer. see, it's just a wee bit paler. If that's how you like it, then that's fine. But we like a good crunchy crust, so we'll give it a few minutes longer. Okay, so the bread has been cooling on the rack now for about half an hour since it came out of the oven. But as we all know, the proof is in the pudding. So let's see what we've got inside. Okay, so we know from the sound that the crust is crisp and crunchy. And inside we have a nice open structure. We have a few larger air bubbles and no uncooked areas. It's properly cooked, as you can see. What we are looking to see is a glossy finish on the cell structures. If you look into these larger holes, you might be able to see that the surface of the cell, or the internal face of the cell, is quite glossy and shiny. And if you're seeing that, it's a pretty certain sign that you have made a decent loaf. You'll remember that we sliced the top of the loaf before we put it in the oven, and you can see how this has ended up. The reason we did that, as we explained earlier, was to relieve the pressure. That opens, allowing the loaf to spread upwards. If we hadn't done that split, it would be tight and constrained, and when we open the loaf, it would be much denser and less palatable. So all that's left to do now is to enjoy with some butter and cheese.